Hello, I'm Jack Blanchard.
And I'm Dasha Burns.
And it is Wednesday, May the 28th, and this is the Playbook Podcast. Let's preview the three stories that are driving the day, Dasha. The first one is not in DC, excitingly, but
No, it is
all the
not.
way over in Las Vegas, of all places. JD Vance is taking this rather quiet week to head over to the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas.
Go party in Vegas with the crypto bros. Come on. Nothing much going on out here.
Both Donald Trump's eldest sons are going to be there as well, speaking to the crypto bros. I find this fascinating that they're all over there bigging up crypto in this way when we know how invested the Trump family is now in crypto, or seems to be getting, or its associates anyway. Should we be surprised to see this happening?
No. And there are a number of fascinating aspects here. There is what a lot of experts are looking into when it comes to the potential grift factor, right? There's been a lot of criticism of like, who is benefiting from this? Is it okay? And it is in such a gray area, it's such a wild, wild west of finance. But there's also the MAGA super PAC piece of this, which is also wild because Trump isn't running for office right now. Normally, these super PACs are set up to fundraise for a candidate. Trump is not a candidate anymore, but this has become a fundraising juggernaut. I mean, like they're charging like $1 million per person for these events that they're holding. So they're banking a ton of money. And what does that mean? And where is that going? And then there's just the crypto piece of it, period. This is something that I don't think the folks in Washington should underestimate of what a juggernaut of a cultural movement it is. This is something that so many young people, I mean, a ton of people in my world, wherever they are politically, are deep into this. People of color, a lot of people that have become disillusioned with the traditional financial systems. And this is an area that didn't need to be politicized, but Democrats kind of ceded the crypto ground to the Republicans and Trump because of Don Jr. And I hear Barron Trump is very into this. You know, he was ushered into this world and has kind of become the crypto president, crypto king. Whether he even knows much about how it works or not, he has brought these folks on board. And it's just been fascinating to watch the merging of these unlikely worlds.
Totally. And if the president of the United States decides that crypto is a big deal, and indeed the vice president of the United States, and they should be talking it up and deregulating or whatever they're doing, that seems a perfectly reasonable policy approach. But at the same time, they launched a Trump meme coin 3 days before he became president and a Melania meme coin. And we heard this very week that the Trump Media and Technology Group is raising money to buy $2.5 billion in Bitcoin. So that's not Donald Trump directly, but it's his family and his associates and so on who stand to benefit massively if this thing takes off, right?
Well, and that's also sort of hurt his street cred with some of the hardcore crypto community folks because the meme coins are a little dodgy, if I can borrow a Britishism from you. Again, it's like this unlikely partnership that ends up with these weird moments where there's these meme coins that the crypto folks are like, oh gosh, why are you doing that? You're doing a lot that actually is really supportive of this thing that makes sense from a policy standpoint. And then there are thorns in the side of that.
The second one, certainly in Playbook, we're writing a lot about looking at the 2026 watch. Basically, we heard Senator Tommy Tuberville saying yesterday that he's going to be running for governor in his home state of Alabama. There's a great piece on Politico's website this morning by the great Jonathan Martin about the race in Ohio, where Vivek Ramaswamy is the favorite to be the next governor, but now there's somebody else who might be in the mix. Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel, one of the Buckeye State's great football heroes, might be running for it as well.
Those are some characters to watch.
And we love characters in this game, right?
We do. We do.
Speaking of characters, let's get on to the third thing, the main event, the big character. Where is Donald Trump? We haven't seen him.
Truth Social. He's on the screen. He's on the screen.
That is true. I think this is the first time, maybe since he's returned to the White House, that he's gone something like 48 hours without making an actual public appearance of any description, popping up in front of a TV camera. And looking at his schedule for the day ahead, Dasha, there's nothing press-facing in it at this point in the morning. That could change.
Yeah, he's signing some executive orders, but that's closed press, although a lot of the time they decide, let the press in anyway, so we'll have to see about that. He does have a big event with U.S. Steel later this week. Of course, the U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel, the Japanese company that's been in a bid to buy U.S. Steel, that's been a whole complicated mess, and the president says that they're working out an agreement that he thinks will benefit folks. Super important for a lot of people in the Rust Belt. So that we'll be watching closely. But yeah, he's mostly just been on Truth Social. Can I just go through the range of topics that we've seen really just over the last few hours? I'm just pulling up his Truth Social page here.
Hit me.
He's talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and taking them public again. He's talking about the auto pen scandal, which I did have to Google. He says the biggest scandal in American history is the auto pen, which apparently is a way to sort of automate presidential signatures and speed that up. Obama was the first president to use the auto pen. Anyway, people are very concerned about the auto pen. He's talked about what he's done for Alaska and what he's done for the great state of Maine, coast to coast. And of course, Canada, once again, saying he wants to make it the 51st state and give them access to our fabulous Golden Dome system, which is coming. That's just like a small sampling of what we've heard.
Just a few hours of the president's social media output. But here's the thing, like, it's been so energetic and so media facing since January the 20th. He's done stuff almost every day. There's been the odd day when he hasn't. Just to see him not come out and do some stuff to camera or some press conference style event for 48 hours, to me, I'm suddenly like, well, I'm sort of bereft. I'm lost. I'm like, where's the president gone? If you compare that to Biden or probably any previous president, it would be completely normal to go a couple of days, right, without seeing the president. Completely normal. I'm not criticizing him for this at all.
No, he's just so unusually out there constantly.
Right.
I do feel like it might be a bit of a calm before the storm. I reached out to Caroline Levitt asking her why we haven't seen that much on his schedule. And again, not implying that he and his team aren't working very hard. She said they're very busy. They're hard at work. He's going to have stuff on his schedule tomorrow. And some of the other sources I've been talking to have basically said he's been hunkered down, making a lot of private calls, taking a lot of private meetings. And I think that maybe this is a sign that we're going to see some announcements coming soon that have been teased, whether it's on Iran, whether it's on Russia, Ukraine. I mean, we took everyone around the world on this podcast yesterday talking about all of the foreign policy balls in the air right now, that any one of them could drop pretty dramatically at any point right now. So I wonder if we're not about to get out of the quiet zone and see some real movement.
I have to agree. Iran is the thing I've really been waiting to see something happen on this week, and maybe something big on Ukraine. We saw him posting on Truth Social about that again yesterday about Vladimir Putin. Gaza is such a chaotic picture. You feel the US president has to try and intervene in some way. So I totally agree. It could be any of those things.
Well, and he's got all of his people. I mean, he's got Witkoff chasing Gaza stuff. He's got Marco Rubio involved in so much overseas. He's got Scott Bessent working on trade deals. The same with Lutnick. I mean, he has a lot of people handling all of these things that are in precarious moments right now.
It's funny that if you do take the TV cameras away from him for a couple of days, he just launches into the social media stuff instead, right? And we've had like 18 random posts off him in 2 days about, as you say, all the different subjects under the sun. The other thing he's been doing, Dasha, quietly this week, or not so quietly, but behind closed doors, is pardoning people. And that has also been making pretty big news. It's quite amazing to me to see some of these pardons coming out, people who've been convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion.
And some reality stars I haven't thought about in a really long time that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that show about that couple in the South.
Right, exactly. But this is what the president gets up to when it goes quiet and behind closed doors is just start pardoning people. Pretty interesting to watch the way he works. Before we finish, we better tell people your exciting news. Come on, don't be shy. Tell us what you're going to be doing this weekend.
I'll be launching a new podcast called The Conversation with Dasha Burns. It is the anti-Sunday show, kind of moving away from the traditional format of the Sunday political program, bringing it into a new era, revamping, reviving it, less about sound bites, more about substance, no BS, no bias. Very importantly, I'll be every week having a conversation with somebody who is having an impact on our politics, on our culture, and also with some of our colleagues who are breaking big stories, and we'll sort of not do the traditional panel, but instead talk about how they reported the big story of the week. So kind of take you behind the scenes of the reporting process. But the goal is really to just have a real conversation, like the kind of thing that we do here that you just don't see on traditional platforms as much. more authentic, I'd say. Like the way that you hear me talk to you now is how I hoped maybe I'll be a little nicer to our guests than I am to you, Jack, but
I don't believe it for 1 second. And that's why it's called The Conversation.
It is called The Conversation with Dasha Burns.
Thought you on Sunday. And where can people find this, Dasha? Can they watch it? Can they listen to it? What's the deal?
Oh, you can watch, we are in the YouTube age. So if you want to put me on your big screen TV, go for it. If you want to listen to me on your run or hike or doing laundry in your headphones, you can do that. So truly wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. It's a YouTube show. It's a podcast. It's everything you could possibly want to start your Sunday with. All right. Well, we will be shamelessly plugging that all week because you really do need to listen to it. I will definitely be starting my Sunday that way every weekend from now on.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, well, they pay me to say that. We better wrap it up before Dasha kills me. And that's all we have time for today's Playbook Podcast. We've got much more news and analysis in today's Playbook newsletter. You can find that at politico.com/playbook. And we'll be back tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody.